This tutorial is going to carry on our series of tutorials on using Quarto, and in this one we're going to have a look at how to cross-reference tables and images and plots. So we're going to use the same Quarto document that we've used in all the other tutorials. If you've watched them, you'll maybe remember it's a document full of information about my favourite band, Iron Maiden. And just if we render the document, just to remind ourselves of what it contains. Here we go. So first of all, we have an image of the band's logo. So we might want to cross-reference that as a figure. We have a table of data. We might want to cross-reference that as a table. And right down the bottom, we have a plot. And we might want to cross-reference that as a figure. So we're going to have a look at how to do all three of those things. So let's have a start by looking at how to cross-reference a figure or an image that you've already put into the document. So we put this document in a previous tutorial, and you might remember if we click on it, we open up this little box where we can access its attributes. So if we click on these three dots here, we get up the original dialog box that we used to put the image in. Now originally when we put the image in, we gave it a caption that said figure 1, but why don't we get Quarto to do all the figure and numbering for us? So let's delete that. So we just have the caption, but we don't worry about calling it figure 1 or figure 2 or whatever. Now in this attributes tab, we can give this image basically a label. So where it says ID, we can type a label. This is a name, this is an identifier, a way to kind of reference this image. So we can call it whatever we want, as long as we have no spaces, and there are probably some special characters we can't use, but basically you can sort of name it whatever you want. But we have to start the name with the letters FIG, or FIG for fig, and then a hyphen. So fig identifies it as a figure, and then after the hyphen we can call it what we like. So let's call it logo, and this is going to create an identifier for this image. So if we now click on OK, our logo is still showing. It now has this attribute up here. You can see it says #fig logo. That is the name, that's the kind of attribute, the label that's been given to this image. So now if we want to cross-reference this image, if you want to say something like, oh, figure 1 shows the band's logo, we can do that by using the @ symbol and then typing fig-logo. So we're using the attribute that we've just given it, the label we've just given it, and the @ symbol. So @fig logo shows the band's logo. Now what happens when we render this document? So bearing in mind what we've typed here is @figure logo shows the band's logo, and at the moment the caption on the image of the logo just says Iron Maiden's logo. When we render it though, some magic will happen with a bit of luck. So when it's rendered, first of all notice that where we typed @fig-logo, that's now been automatically transformed into figure 1 because it's the first fig that we've identified in the document. Quarto renders it as figure 1, and the caption beneath the figure has had figure 1 added to it. Also, this figure 1 is a hyperlink, so if this text was a long way away from the image, if we clicked on that hyperlink, it puts the it takes us to the image, so the image goes to the top of the page. So that's pretty neat. We can do something very similar with plots that you create with code. So right down the bottom of the document here, we've got some code. We were working with some data from the Spotify API, and in previous tutorials we looked at creating a plot that plotted the energy levels of all the Iron Maiden tracks against their valence, so how positive or negative they sound. So let's have a quick preview of this scatter plot. There you go, that's what it looks like. So what about if we want to reference this? If we want to say, figure 2, because it's the second figure in the document, figure 2 shows something or other. We can do that within the code chunk. So within the code chunk, there are instructions we can give sort of to the code chunk that determine how it's processed. And we do this with a hash symbol and a vertical line. So we do hash vertical line, and first things we can give it an attribute like we did for the other figure. and we do this using label. As we type label, Quarto guesses that that's what we're going to type, so we can auto-complete that. And again, because this is a figure, we have to begin with fig hyphen to identify it as a figure, but then after that we can call it what we like. So I'm going to call this scatter because it's a scatter plot. And we can also give it a caption by using fig cap. So scrolling down the list here, we've got fig cap, that's caption, and the caption has to go within quotes. So I'm going to do some quotes and then right in between. Scatter plot of the energy and valence scores for Iron Maiden tracks 1980 to 2021. Okay, so we've given the plot that's going to be created by the code below now has an attribute and it now has a caption. So again, outside of the code chunk, if we want to kind of reference this, let's write some text. We can again use the @ symbol, and now we want to reference fig scatter, the name we just gave it. Fig scatter shows the relationship between valence and energy scores for Iron Maiden studio tracks, or something like that. Ooh. Or tarks. Let's go for tracks, shall we? That makes a bit more sense. Again, let's have a look what happens when we now render this. Hopefully what happens is what's supposed to happen. So now in our rendered document, so still up here we've got figure 1 showing the band's logo, so that's all been retained as before. But now our scatter plot, the text where we wrote where we were at fig scatter, that's been transformed into a hyperlink, and it's automatically numbered the figure. Because there's already a figure beforehand, the logo, it's numbered this as figure 2. It knows it's the second figure in the document, so it automatically numbers it as figure 2, and it hyperlinks it as well. So if that text were a long way away from the actual image, you could click on it and it would take you to the image. And notice we gave it a caption, right? We did that, figure hyphen cap. And so now our plot also has a lovely caption at the bottom, figure 2 scatter plot, well, the caption we gave it. So this is all like quite cool stuff. What about tables? Tables, it's the same basic principle. So we've got our Spotify data here. If we're creating a table using R, we can again do some stuff within the code chunk, very similar to what we just did with a figure, to create a sort of a cross-reference for that table. So within our code chunk here, we do the same thing with the hash and the vertical line. And as before, we use label to create a label. So this is exactly the same as what we did for the figure. But now, instead of using fig hyphen, we have to use TBL, which is sort of code for a table. So TBL hyphen, and then again, we can give it whatever label we want. So let's call this, it's showing the data set that I've called edify. So let's just label it table edify. That's pretty clear, what it's showing. Again, we can give it a caption, but now we don't want to give it a figure caption, we want to give it a table caption. So again, if we do TBL, we'll get a list of things that we can, set, and we want TBL cap, that's for caption. We'll add a table caption, and again, we want to put this in quotes. So I'm going to type some quotes, and then we'll have data from the Spotify API for Iron Maiden studio albums 1980 to 2021. So we've got a caption now, and again we can reference this in the text, so in exactly the same way as before. We just use the @ symbol, but now our identifier is this TBL edify. So we do TBL edify. Have I spelled that correctly? I think I have. TBL edify shows the shows data from the. I'm just going to copy this Spotify API. I'm just going to copy the caption. That's not good practice, but anyway. Data. I'm trying to be quick. Okay, and then we'll keep the second sentence. I got these data using Spotify package. So again, let's have a look what happens when we render this. In our Quarto document, we've still got our figure caption. Now we have a cross-reference to table 1. So it says table 1. It's because it's the first table we've given a label to. It's labeled as table 1. If you had another table later on, it'd be table 2, whatever. It's kind of auto numbering the tables for us. It's put in a hyperlink to take us to the table in case the text is a long way away from the table. So yeah, it's put that all in, and in the table itself you can now see at the top here there is the caption that we asked for, and again it's added table 1, so it's automatically, knowing that's the first table, it's labeled it as table 1. So basically using this kind of cross-referencing system is a really powerful way to automatically label tables and figures. So as Quarto renders the document, you know, the first figure that you attach a label to and you reference will be called figure 1, the second one figure 2, third one figure 3, and so on and so forth. So it will do all of that numbering for you automatically, which is super handy, because if you move a table in the document, so they're in a different order or whatever, that'll all get automatically updated when you render.